Greetings, nerds. This is SNN Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
Doing very well, Sarah. How are you doing this evening?
Doing fine.
That's good. Glad to hear it.
It's fall.
Yeah, it is fall. We have here in North Carolina, we have fake fall, so it'll cool down for a little bit. The leaves will start dropping, and then next week it's going to be 90 again.
Oh, yeah. Well, like our temperatures are pretty mild right now. Like nothing too severe, but we're all just like, okay, when's that first snow that you like that snow last year? I will not forget this first massive, because we had it like in middle of September around this time, and it was shocking how much we got. But then it all melted, so it was perfectly fine. It just was like most people didn't have their snow tires, but anyways, like we're not here to talk about the weather. We're actually here to talk about, movies, film, TV. Movies and film are the same thing. Well, I don't know if people...
No, there's movies and there's a film.
Okay.
But there is a distinction.
Okay. All right. Talking about TV, though, they had their big award ceremony recently this week with the Emmys that I knew that Emmys were coming.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel like I heard anything. No, it was weird. Monday night, I'm like on Twitter, like, oh, that person won. I like, the only thing I can say about the Emmys is I am right. I called it. Zendaya is gonna win that second Emmy.
Mm-hmm. You did.
There is a full episode in season 2 that you cannot deny her. Like that, and people who watch Euphoria know what episode I'm talking about with being very vague, because it is so impactful and her performance in it is just uncanny. So I know exactly the episode and it's funny because usually I'll say, oh, there's this one scene, but it's the entire episode.
Wow.
Just this entire episode of following her through withdrawal hell. It's not even withdrawal hell. It's what the through drug addiction, psychology, manipulation. It just was insane. So I was happy to see that. And whoever put out that amazing, Will, before I say this, have you seen Succession season 3 finale?
That is on my list of things to complete. I've gotten halfway through the season, but I haven't watched the finale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that Matthew McFadden won for Best Supporting Actor on Succession, and he plays a very critical role in the season finale, and there's a scene at the very end, and somebody put it right next to him winning the award. I love that person because that is genius and spot on. So good.
Yeah, now you're giving me a incentive to get off my ass and finish the season.
Yeah, you might have to start over.
Yeah, no, I remember it. I mean, it's one of those shows that's just great. It's just for whatever I just like. I got a little behind. I got a little behind on Succession and also Winning Time, the HBO series HBO Max about the Lakers. And so those are two things that I need to just finish up. But so they're on my finish up list because I really enjoy both series.
Yeah, no, I will admit the last season of Succession, I love the show. I think it was the hardest for me to retain engagement throughout the entire time, if that makes sense. There were some definitely slower episodes that I didn't really care for. I really do like the finale, and I remember liking the first 2 episodes. But yeah, it's definitely a show that I'm always excited for to come back, but it's not always 10 stars out of 10. I don't know, 5 stars out of 5. Did you have any Emmy stuff that you want to talk about before we move on?
Other than, forgetting that it was on, and really it was one of those, as I was joking with you before we started recording, like Monday, I just crashed. Obviously there was the controversy with Jimmy Kimmel, which I think it made drew more attention to the show than the show itself with Abbott Elementary, which is another. I know one of our listeners had DM'd me about that show and how awesome it is, and that I need to check it out. Whenever she, what's her name, Quinta, I can't remember her name right now, but she won the Emmy, and then Kimmel lies down on the stage, and she was going to be on the show the next night. But
she was, and I watched that interview.
Yeah, and I guess he apologized, perfect, and all that.
Definitely apologized.
Yeah. But as far as the awards themselves, what it seems that there is obviously Zendaya's win was expected, well deserved from everything that I've heard. But in Succession as well, it just seems like the names of the shows that we had expected to win did win. I know Squid Game got lead actor.
Yep.
He won, and he's actually, I think he was just recently cast in it's one of the Marvel shows. Was it Loki 2? Season 2, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it I think it was, like you said, it snuck up on me. Honestly, snuck up on me and passed me, because I had completely forgotten that the show was this week, and so did a lot of people, given that it continues to break its own record for lowest rated Emmys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've previous times we've talked about Emmys, we talked about why that is, and it's three names, one person. That's all I'll say.
Yep.
But HBO, they're taking home those wins. And
they got they reclaimed the throne.
Next year, when you have House of Dragon competing for some of those trophies. Who's on top?
Yeah, they have reclaimed the throne for sure.
Oh my God. The actress who right now is playing Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
She better get a nom at
Miliak.
Supporting actress.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
So something that Will and I actually did not forget about. Surprisingly, due to, for me, scheduling changes for my weekend plans, I actually watched Kind of Funny review or talk about D23, and it just so happened Will was texting me and he's like, "Hey, I'm doing that too."
Yeah, I know. We should have just jumped on and did our own show.
No, we've tried that.
Yeah. I didn't have time to set up all the tweet decks and stuff.
Yeah, too much time. We were tired this weekend. Yeah. But yes, we caught the news. We saw what we were allowed to see. I don't want to see what I'm not allowed to see, because trust me, by the time that they release it, you're going to get just inundated with it. And I don't want any more Black Panther stuff. I don't need it. Yeah. But to start us off with Mufasa, the Lion King prequel, I heard it. I didn't see a clip, but I did see the clip that they dropped for Little Mermaid, and that looks awesome.
It does. It really does. It seems like I know just overall with the D23, a lot of people in the chattering class there's a lot of gnashing of teeth by some quarters because of their expectations were not met. But I have to say, you're right, Disney proper with The Little Mermaid, that was amazing. Mustafa, of course, the Lion King prequel, that's coming in 2024. Actually, they dropped the release date for it today, July 5th. Inside Out 2 was also Amy Poehler came back and shared that they were going to be doing that sequel. I guess it's also coming in 2024. Disenchanted was another one that, as far as the coming on November 24th to Disney Plus. Hocus Pocus 2 coming at the end of this month for the sequel to that film. So so there was a lot of things that happened on that Friday that may have gotten overshadowed because of the obvious panels that we'll talk about here in a bit on Saturday. But also Snow White, another one with Gal Gadot, and is going to be in that with.
I love it when Will on something and there's this pause, and I forgot. I know.
Yeah.
Thinking, Sarah, you're gonna save me. And I never do.
I should know better by now. I had completely forgotten who was going to be in Snow White with Gal Gadot, and I just read it beforehand. But anyway,
and I didn't read it, and I didn't hear anything about it, so I can't help him. So it's not that
it's okay
not to help him.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's just I had lost it in my notes. But anyway. No worries. Yeah.
So when does Indiana Jones 5 come out?
It is coming out next year.
Okay, next year. Because that trailer, that's what I heard them, like, between Disney proper and Lucasfilm, I honestly heard, like, the biggest reactions for the Indiana Jones, and just because of Harrison Ford and him actually being somewhat human.
Yeah, I know. I know with the footage of him choking up, and he's like, "I'm done. I will not fall down for you again." And he was starting to, tear up, which, that franchise is 41 years old, and he's like 80. So,
it already had Indiana Jones 4, which.
Yeah, well, we won't talk about that. Yeah.
So redemption time.
But there was a lot of buzz from the trailer, and that was one of those ones that was exclusive to the crowd in the room. But everything about it I heard was great. Yeah,
and what was the Willow update?
Yeah, so since we're in the realm of fantasy shows, and the Willow update is a new trailer was dropped for the series that'll be coming to Disney Plus, and Christian Slater is also going to be a part of the cast, and Warwick Davis, who was the star from the original '88 film that was done by Ron Howard, I believe, is going to be returning for it. So if I recall, is coming to Disney Plus later this year.
Okay. Interesting.
Also, Erin Kellyman, who was the enemy in Falcon and Winter Soldier, she's also going to be in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. The big one to drop though during it was, of course, Mando season 3 trailer.
Yes.
Okay. I really like this trailer.
Yeah.
I really I liked season 1. Season 2, I really got into it. And season 3, from what they've shown us, seems like they've taken the best parts of season 2 and 3, or 2 and 1, and put them together. Because this show is called The Mandalorian, and I think we got, especially as much as I love season 2, I think that it strayed a little bit from the Mandalorian culture and that mythology. And I know that they were definitely planting a lot of breadcrumbs or seeds that are all going to come to fruition this season based on the trailer. But it's just like we have our clan of 2 now, who's the Mandalorian, but he's not, and now he's a father, and I like that line at the end. Oh, you thought your father was the only Mandalorian?
Yeah. And then all these Mandalorian just come flying out of the ship. That was so dope. Yeah. Yeah.
don't know. Maybe Grogu is a bit slow because I feel like he's seen a few Mandalorians while hanging out with Zero Dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the War Armorer, she's a little behind it. Yeah, because in season 2, you're right. I mean, Bo-Katan and a couple and Sasha Banks are character.
But he kept passing out. I mean, the kid uses his power to save the day and then passes out. So
True.
His memory. But no, I really they said just enough for me to be like, season 3, let's go. But not too much where I feel like I have already seen all of season 3.
Right. And, you make a good point that they bring the best bits of seasons 1 and 2 and also really following up on many things in season 2.5, also known as the Book of Boba Fett. Because honestly, that was probably the highlight of that series when we did get Din Djarin showing up again and Ashoka and Luke and all of that pieces in there, and they're following up on that as well. So yeah, I mean that, and also for me thinking about Star Wars Rebels and because we visited Mandalore then with in that series with Sabine Wren and learning about the Mandalorian culture and the schisms and the rifts on that planet and the Great War, and of course the Empire as well with their Mandalorian engagement and stuff, and what it means to be true Mandalorian and stuff. A lot of that was obviously with Filoni and Favreau being involved, in Filoni in particular. A lot of those seeds were planted in the Rebels. So I can't wait for the series. I know when it dropped Saturday, they were saying that it was going to be released in February 23, but it quickly scrubbed that, and now it's just saying streaming at some point in 2023. So I guess they are continuing to juggle their schedule to see when's the most appropriate time to drop it.
Yeah, well, they have all of these little projects called MCU. One other Lucasfilm thing before we drop over to the Marvel Studios. There is Tales of the Jedi, which is an animated feature set during the Clone War period. Speaking of Ashoka, it will be 15-minute shorts. I think 6 of them, if I recall. Basically giving background of her, and also Count Dooku, which we learned about him in the prequel trilogy. And so set, bringing Mace Windu's coming back, Yaddle, the female version of Yoda's race, and several other characters as well. So that series is right around the corner. It's coming October 26th. Nice. When you were describing it, I was like, so how well did I Am Groot shorts do? And all I heard as soon as you said shorts, like 5 minutes in, I'm like, I think they went too well over, but everyone likes their own thing, and the youth these days have ADD, so they like things in small, compact places. Moving on to Marvel, because we do have 2.5 shows. Not even 2.5, like 2 shows. Do the math, people, because there's 2 of them that we'll get into it. But in the meantime, for the Marvel panel, we did get 2 trailers, one for Secret Invasion and one for Werewolf by Night. Will, what were your thoughts on the Werewolf by Night trailer?
Oh, I'm really, 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 I'm liking it. It's got that, it's a special. Whenever I saw it, it had the special presentation, Marvel Studios, and it had that vibe from like the 50s, like like MS things you see on like MST3K like vibe films.
Like Frankenstein.
Yeah, Frankenstein, monsters, that old school vibe with those little, classic, call off type horror films, and I really like the vibe that it was giving off. I mean, I probably missed a shitload of like Easter eggs and things that people who are better versed at Marvel things that I miss, but I really did enjoy it. Looking forward to it coming up. I know it drops October 7th, and I know we were just planning ahead for our October shows and stuff. And this is one that I must say I am looking forward to, because we'll get into more about She-Hulk later, but it was one of those things that was rumored, and then we finally got confirmation. Michael Giacchino is directing it, which I thought, so if he's also doing the score, I'm gonna be like in heaven, because he is just a maestro when it comes to scoring things.
Right.
And so, and it is precedent for it too. But when you think about, I think about John Carpenter. He would, with the Halloween. I mean, he did not only directed the film, but he also did the score. So it's got all the horror elements to it that I think is just going to make it really, really special.
Was Carpenter a known composer before his big directorial debut?
I can't recall if he was or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, I didn't know that. And then you just said, well, he did the score too. And I was like, oh, I thought you were like, because from when I hear Giacchino directing this, it's like the first time like we've seen somebody make that jump. But yeah, I agree. It's very different. However, as different and unique, and just probably going to be a fresh of Halloween air this fall. The Secret Invasion trailer, like it set such a great tone.
Yeah.
And this is a project that I was like, oh, okay, that's gonna happen. Okay. But now I'm like, okay, when is it gonna drop? Because that is it. And don't get me wrong, because I did love watching Falcon and Winter Soldier. However, I feel like Secret Invasion, based on the trailer, seems to set more of the tone I was hoping for.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and there's just so many cool shots. We get another Game of Thrones actor joining the Marvel Universe, and it just, I don't know, it's they're doing it well. They're gonna do it right, and you all have seen the trailer, so I'm not gonna go into detail about it, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Kingsley Benadu, which we was in One Night in Miami, that was one of the highlights of that trailer. But you're right. I think the vibe that I got from it, especially given some of the things, and we've talked about our ups and downs with Phase 4, but and I know I guess this will be in Phase 5, because I guess Black Panther closes out Phase 4 then. So, but moving into Phase 5, and I think getting the tone back to what has been missing. This series seems to be doing that. Because it hit all the right notes, and like you said, it definitely gives sort of reset and definitely what Falcon and Winter Soldier probably was hoping to be, but due to the pandemic and other things, they probably had to shuffle some things, and I think the series got impacted by that. Right.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to proceed with like the next three things. So Thunderbolts, but we've already talked about this, who we thought were going to be, and I know they officially confirmed it. We saw the poster.
Mm-hmm.
But was there anything in particular? I mean, it's cool
Yeah.
Man, Sebastian Stan is just like, oh yeah, put me in that one, put me in this one. Ever since his cameo at the end of Black Panther.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think the one casting in Thunderbolts that did surprise me was David Harbour as Red Guardian. I did not see that. I did not see that one coming. The others.
That's I love that so much because after yesterday, I randomly was watching a combination video of what's Florence Pugh's character name?
Yelena.
Yelena.
Yelena, yeah. Yelena.
You know that because that's my sister-in-law's name.
Okay.
But of Yelena's best comedic moments in that movie, and they showed like a bunch with her and David Harbour's character. So the fact that both of them are going to be on the team, come on, father-daughter.
Yeah. That's gonna be a great dynamic, and Ghost, that was one that and Taskmaster. I mean, it is. And so it's, when you think about it, it's leaning very heavily in Black Widow because 3 of the 6 team members are from that film, and then of course Ghost from Ant-Man, which I had completely forgotten about Ghost, and of course, and then of course U.S. Agent, which we all knew that one was coming. And so this is another project that I'm looking forward to.
So again, we got other stuff to get into. Any other mentions that or updates on any of the projects that I'm sure there'll be 78 podcast episode about before it actually airs.
Yeah. Obviously, I know we touched on Black Panther. Got more. Obviously, the trailer that Ant-Man 3 was. There was a few more things from it. Really, I think a couple things. Loki season 2. We talked about how there's some casting news there, and they're in the process of filming it now. Daredevil. Reborn, Charlie Cox did share that the story is going to not necessarily pick up from the Netflix show, and so it sounds like it's going to be, I don't know if it's a soft reboot or if they'll just or what the case is going to be, but he did share that news this during an interview during D23 weekend, and of course Echo. I think they did show, that was another one of those things where they showed some footage for folks in the room that I think was well received. So yeah, I think those were a lot of the things that sort of jumped out at me. And of course Matt Shakman being confirmed for Fantastic Four director, and Feige's just like, sorry y'all, that's all we're going to get today.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But to go back to Daredevil, because in this week's She-Hulk, there was our first Daredevil tease because Will was wrong.
I was wrong, yeah. And no, I'm not sour about this episode because I was wrong.
No, just sour about it because it was like, all right.
I was getting CW vibes. I'm not gonna lie.
What vibes?
CW.
Oh yeah. It's just, I've listened to a few people talk about this episode. Last week's was just like so on point that this week's, even though there were some threads that unexpectedly with the whole dates situation and them being able to vouch for her as identifying as She-Hulk. It just fell flat. And I think because as much as we like her lawyer friends, we come off of Wongers and Madison.
Yeah.
And then we have the lawyer sidekicks.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Segura. I love him. it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. And I did. I'm sure you like this bullet point I have on the rundown. Oh, I get it. And this like came literally while I was watching the end credits, which I'm very disappointed that there was no end credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
Another like, this episode got the short end of the stick. But anyways, it just dawned on me like, oh, I get it. Plot A, Jennifer had a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And the B plot of this episode was Jennifer getting a new suit.
Yeah. I cracked up when I got the run sheet and I was putting my notes together. I was like, Belmont's on fire tonight.
Well, Will, we've talked about it before. The writer's room, very smart, funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Smart, funny. So I do not think that I am stretching with that. I really think that's what you were going for.
That's what they were going for. That's exactly what they're going for. And here's where the show is starting to get predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And repeating it. And I talked about this a few episodes back with us, about theme and recurring things that we see in like these TV shows and MCU in general. But in this show in particular, didn't we just have, wasn't it with the episode of Megan Thee Stallion, where they had people basically go up on the stand and testify to like how, whatever it is. In the case of Megan Thee Stallion, it was with that episode, it was the guy who was so self-involved that he actually was so full of himself that he believed that Megan Thee Stallion would actually date him.
Right.
Here it's like, in this episode, it was, oh yeah, she really believed that, she's going to fall on the sword and realize,
no, but
she's She-Hulk, and it's just it's almost like I can write the show now. I know what's going to happen each week, and it's getting predictable and it's getting boring. It just, I don't know. This is the first episode where I was kind of like, I actually picked up my phone and started scrolling because I'm like, yeah.
I agree with you. However, it wasn't that it was predictable. It was redundant because last week, the fact that they slept together. Mm-hmm. And then she's all excited. She makes breakfast. He comes out, sees her in her natural form, mm-hmm. and says, "Oh, I gotta go," and runs out. You're just like that. It's an emotional blow.
Yeah.
Why repeat that?
Yeah.
Like that is what annoyed me most about it. Is it wasn't being predictable. It was just like we already got that moment.
Yep.
And that realization. Why continue to do it? So I think overall this episode I've liked the least.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah.
I still am like, I'm still excited for the next episode. I think that this episode always is like a brush of like a breath of fresh air right in the middle of my week. Mm-hmm. Like some light comedy with some action, although we haven't gotten much action,
no.
So which is not also a bad thing. Like it's weird, this show we know what it's going for and it's mm-hmm. offering something really different, and I've heard speculation about what's to come, and I'm so game for it, and I knew that one date. As soon as he talked about like her being indestructible, I'm like, okay, you were mm-hmm. definitely connected to those Asgardian thieves.
Yeah.
So and then there's speculation about like the bigger picture about this. So
yeah, I
don't know. It's just like a half step forward instead of the full 3 steps forward that we got last week.
Yeah, I agree, and there were, and don't get me wrong. I mean, there were some parts that I did like. I mean, the Titania with the whole She-Hulk line and the commercials and the snake, all that actually I did find that funny and just very relatable because it's like, oh yeah, we see like the celebrity branding and all that kind of stuff. So there were bits of the episode that I did like, but to me this one was you're right. It was a lot of redundancies that were in the plot this week, and really, and these next, because I think it's a 9-episode season, so these next 4 episodes have really got to let's change up the formula a little bit, because it has gotten formulaic. Yeah. And they need to mix up the formula, because otherwise I'm gonna check out.
So it's funny because we have the complaint about it being formulaic on this show, and yet we're checking out of Lord of the Rings so quickly that I don't even know what the formula is. Okay, I warned Will, y'all. I warned him. I told him he has to carry Rings talk, because I seriously watched this episode. Okay, maybe not seriously, because I definitely was doing other stuff, but I don't know what is going on.
Yeah.
I listen to people talk about it because I want to at least have a vague, stir my memory. Did nothing. I couldn't listen to the reviews because they're referencing names. I don't know half of it, 30-90%. I do realize that the guy at the end is an ancestor of Viggo Mortensen's. I'm assuming it's an ancestor. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I probably am wrong about that. But yeah, so I didn't even realize the people from the first 2 episodes who we did not see in this episode. I will continue, but this show, it's just the lore. It's too much for me. And it's not being presented in a way where I want to understand, or am B enjoying learning about the lore.
Bingo! It's the writing. Bottom line, it's just it's not a well-written show. It's a beautiful show, but if you're going to, with a very densely packed lore of the Lord of the Rings, I'm not saying you got to spoon feed it to us, but you got to present it in a way that is compelling, makes us become engaged with these characters.
Yeah. And
right now, it got. I will say the Black Elf, I got engaged with him a little bit this week, because I think the things, whenever they were fighting with the orcs and the challenges that they were having there, that kept my attention. But whenever you have this, what was the line? The sea is the oh gosh.
The first episode, are you talking about?
No, this episode where they were on the sea. The sea is the it was such a banal line. It was just the sea is the truth or something like that. I can't remember what. It was just so bad I blanked it out. I mean, it was just really?
Man. I must have been still stuck on the whole, why does a rock sink and a boat float?
Yeah. Oh gosh, it'll come back to me after we're done, but it was just, it was, I mean, and you know what, and Gladriel again, it's
just not likable.
No, and it's not because she's a Mary Sue, because I mean she's a trained warrior and all that stuff. I don't want to go down that route. It's not this. It's just a badly written character, of the way they presented her on the show. And the elves are immortal, and she's been very well traveled. And if she gets to, yes, I know there was the whole issues with the people, but that had the falling out between the elves and the Numerian people. But at the, but she was just she was ready to throw fists and not be diplomatic, and I know down the line this is supposed, we get to that place with the Galadriel, but even so, she should be mature enough at this age of being 10,000, or however many thousand years old she is, to be able to have some sense of diplomacy and figure out like, how we can work with these people but we don't get that. And again, it's just like the way these characters are written, it's just not compelling. And I'll check it out for the beautiful scenes, and I can't fault them for that. I mean, it's well shot, beautiful, but at this point, it's one of those things where it's I may bank up a few episodes, and hopefully maybe if I binge them or something like that, it'll go better.
Maybe, but to move forward with the show that we have been following very closely and understand what is going on. Will, what did you think of House of the Dragon, King of the Narrow Sea?
Wow, this episode, where to begin? First of all, this show continues to deliver each and every week. And this one had so many layers, because it picks up, seems like there was a little bit of a time jump from after Daemon killed the crab feeder. He comes, we have him coming to King's Landing, and he's cut his hair. He's triumphant to present his brother the sword, the crab feeder, and and it just right out the gate, it just like, this is going to be good, because you can see already Daemon was just like, I'm coming back to like show who's the boss around here, and he had that, and then of course, and right before we were discussing the Emmy talks, talking about Millie Aycock, who plays Rhaenyra, and she this week was Rhaenyra is such an amazing character, because on the one hand, she and her father Viserys evoke so many different emotions. One minute you're feeling sympathetic for them, the next minute you're like, God, they're so and then the next minute the next minute you're rooting for them to succeed. And so, and she played all of those hands this episode to a fault. And I just, I can't speak enough things about it. I know we'll get into more details here in a bit. And then Viserys, week in, week out, he's still my favorite. I mean, warts, throwing cuts and all. I mean, he is.
I don't care. Like, I hate that they are making me like him so much. Mm-hmm. I hate it, because I know he's not going to last long, and I don't want to feel bad when he dies. But he proved in this episode, I think more than any of the other episodes, how much he understands the game. Mm-hmm. And all it took was for his brother to try to seduce his daughter. Yeah. And when I say, like, emphasis on try, because even though Daemon made it seem otherwise, they didn't go all the way. They did not go all the way. Which I love how it's so ambiguous what that meant.
Yeah.
And I did listen to most of the after the episode where and I didn't realize, but I love the choice to have a female director for this, because we need to see that the whole sequence of her leaving the castle with her uncle, going to a brothel. Well, after they see a play, and then going to a brothel. And then on top of that, have it contrast with Alicent.
Yeah.
And her having to have sex with Viserys, not because technically because they're married, but definitely not of love, definitely not out of desire, but because it's more of an obligation.
Yeah, I mean, just juxtaposition in that scene. I mean, with her dead eyes. I mean, whenever the attendant came and was like, "The king summons you in the middle of the night," and there was such contrast with this, because with Alicent, he forced her. I mean, again, this is why Viserys is so like it's such a complex character. When the one minute you're like want to wring his neck, and then he does something at the end, like he does at the end of the episode, where he figures out what's going on, why you love him. But this, he forces. I mean, it's essentially marital rape. I mean, let's just call it what it is. And seeing her dead eyes and her pain as just emotional vacantness with the act, what was going on. And then on the other hand, you have, and you're right, it was so ambiguous, because before watching I did watch the showrunners and the director talk after the show too. And while I was watching that scene, I was like, holy they went there.
Oh yeah.
They went there.
Oh, and for those of you who's listening and being like, Will, why are you so shocked that Game of Thrones went there?
No. But
Will hasn't watched the original series.
Yeah, I know.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I know. Yeah.
David and Rhaenyra.
I mean, I know. I mean, it's Game of Thrones. I know incest happens. I mean, it's not like I'm the virgin ears in here or anything like, unlike Sir Kristen and Rhaenyra. But getting back to the scene itself, and because they do have their little, they're having their night out on the town. I mean, they do see like you said, the play, which was very important too, because it showed how sheltered she is in the castle. And thinking that the common people were going to, willingly accept her as the queen whenever Viserys passes on. But let's put a pin in that. Getting to the brothel and what's going on between her and Daemon. It was so ambiguous, because it was like, I think his impotency was either one, he all of a sudden had a conscience. Two, I think more likely he was like, she's getting into this, and this can, when we contrast it with Alicent, who, is disgusted by what's going on, and Daemon was like, and three, I think it messed up his goals, because he was using this as a way to like worm his way into the crown by taking her virginity, and since she wouldn't be chaste, and that would be, that would ruin her, obviously kill her chances for ascending upon Viserys' death.
Okay. I'm sorry. You just said a lot, and I'm like trying to figure out. Okay. Yeah, I think any of those reasons, or all of those reasons together. I mean, that's the beauty of these characters. You can't arbitrarily say it's one thing or another thing. Yeah. Just because these characters are not two-dimensional, they're three-dimensional, and there's a lot of different reasons. I think that it was his conscience that he didn't realize she would be so game for it. And also I don't think he realized how much like he loves his niece as his niece.
Yeah.
He's able to separate that when he sees his brother, and it's more like, but I think it's very complicated where he knows, in his opinion, the smartest thing for Viserys to do is to wed him to his niece.
Yeah.
So that they can, their bloodline can fully retain power. Because he always says that in these episodes. I don't know if you noticed, like
I have, yeah.
It's always about like the house of the dragon, the blood of the dragon. He's very committed to upholding that. And at the same time, his move to advance to that position also means corrupting his family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it was a mix of everything you said about all the different reasons. And so I was like, oh, okay, they didn't go there. But then I was a bit shocked when Rhaenyra went back and got it on with Sir Criston, because it's like, how, like, do they have extra hours? Yeah, how long is this night going? Damn.
Yeah, I mean,
She tried for one and then got the other, and it's interesting. But to go back to the play scene, for me, I didn't view it as her being so sheltered. I thought it was very interesting how the play was acted out in essentially what she views, how she thinks that the public views her, and then it's Daemon who's the one who's like, no, that's not, they actually want you to be the queen. It's satire, like they were doing different, they were making jokes, like the easy jokes, but at the end of the day, if they had to choose anyone, it would be her.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was
I can see that.
Very good, which again plays not uncommon for this show. Not uncommon.
Yeah. I can see that. But to your point about her going back to Sir Criston and
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was just, it was, the whole sexual politics. I know whenever we were messaging about this after the show a little bit, really was something that really stood out to me with this episode, and the whole issue of virtue and chastity and all those things, and how sex is used, historically, whether it's this show or anywhere, it can be used, it can be weaponized for various purposes, because Otto, with using his daughter, with his daughter, and to use it to gain favor, to produce an heir for the realm. That's because of his clear not wanting Rhaenyra or somehow falling to Daemon, and then
I don't know if Otto didn't want Rhaenyra.
Okay.
Because that decision was made. I think it was made after.
It was made after, but
I think it was more like Otto's a smart man, and he's like, you better get in there so that we can like continue to move up. Like, this is the last.
Well, and there's that. Yeah, there's definitely that piece of it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's definitely the status climbing thing too. I mean, for sure.
But he miscalculated this, and this second half of the episode was I thought so masterful, because I did not expect it to go this way. And that's what I love about the show, because I was watching it, I was like, okay, cool, gross, cool, gross. And then I just the chess game at the end between Alicent, Rhaenyra, Viserys, and Otto, and I did not expect it to end the way that it did. Like halfway, there's another part that I did expect, and I was not shocked by, but just the fact that Otto's spy sees Daemon and Rhaenyra. Otto learns that they were in a brothel. And honestly, if I was a spy and I just saw them do what they did in the brothel, I would probably make the same assumption. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they went far enough.
They went, yeah.
And it was just enough. And then Otto tells Viserys. But again, I love how he acts it. Because I should hate Otto. I really should. I should be totally on Rhaenyra's side. I'd be like, this is bullshit. But there's something the way he delivers the news that I do believe he didn't want to.
He didn't want to. He didn't. He's like, is there another hand? Is there another, please?
Yeah. It's like, this is probably my best friend. He has my trust. The only person, well, not the only person, but I'm probably like, he loves his daughter, Rhaenyra, probably more than anyone now.
Yep.
And I have to tell him not only that she's not a virgin anymore, but also that your brother, who you love, took it.
yeah. I mean, they set the whole setup of this episode with the throne, with the room, and and Otto, Daemon and Viserys having the brotherly moment at the beginning of the episode. I mean, it was just like, what's going to break here, and this was how it broke, and I mean, this is masterful how they set that up.
Yeah, and then I was not expecting Alicent to have a shouting match with Rhaenyra. And this relationship, I really like how at the beginning of the episode, they're finally going to be friends again.
Yeah.
They're finally at a more, okay, this is now we've adjusted to our new roles in each other's lives. And then Alicent goes full mom mode, like stepmom mode.
Yeah.
But you can also, there's a sense from her of almost, I almost feel like she had a crush on Daemon.
Yeah.
I almost feel like that during how she talks about it. And especially, like, this is why I love this show, is that there are moments from previous, like, all the way, we're talking about the fourth episode, and I'm like, all the way back to episode 1.
Yep.
Where there's hints about something between Alicent and Daemon.
Yep.
But it's just, there's no wasted space and time or writing with this show. But I love how they come to a shouting match about Rhaenyra just saying, even though she has all of this power, she wants to be normal. And it's like, girl, wake up. You're going to lose everything if you don't stick to the script.
Yep.
And, but then I did not expect, again, Rhaenyra to not only worm her way out of it, which she technically didn't lie.
Right.
She kind of lied because Daemon did touch her, but it was Christian who took it.
Yep.
She manages to turn it around and be like, oh, it was your father who told you. Interesting. And then it just goes from there, leading to Otto being no longer hand, which I did not expect, but I did expect when the trade-off was Rhaenyra gets betrothed to Lord Corlys's son.
Yeah. I mean, you saw, they kind of set that up in the in the prior episode, and then of course, the beginning of this episode when they were going all throughout the realm trying with all these particular suitors, and that was another funny scene too, like with that the 12-year-old boy, and he was like, I guess the guy was picking on him and stuff, and then he just like disemboweled him right there. It's like, I got you, the old man.
The way you just said that, it made me think how much Rhaenyra's, in a way, the previous episode, or not the previous, maybe like episode 2, where we had Viserys and his duty for marriage, and all, like, the 12-year-old or the 16-year-old come up, and like Rhaenyra's being treated the same way. It's like, okay, go for your uncle. Somebody said your brother is an option, your 2-year-old brother. So it's interesting how we technically, to go back to your point about She-Hulk and the repetitious, in a way, we've seen the two Targaryens now deal with marriage obligation, but both of their perspectives and their stories, it doesn't feel redundant.
No, because it doesn't. And I think, there's an undercurrent of these duties and obligations that they have as royalty, but then there's all these curveballs that like get tossed in to the story that, where the predictability, yes, there is the tradition, the Game of Thrones, it's a Game of Thrones. I mean, in Viserys, in his speech, whenever he when he wakes up and he's like, look, I see what you did here, Otto, by placing your daughter in my chamber.
I thought he was going to go a different direction.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. I was like, okay, this is when we find out that Otto was behind his wife's death.
Right. But that's and so by you saying that, this is where things where you have the, I guess, flow of story as far as like how they set these threads, but they have you thinking one way and then they go a completely other direction.
Right.
Whereas She-Hulk, we knew that she was going to get the trademark back. I mean, this is like, and they used the bit from the prior episode, 2 episodes prior.
Right.
And there's no spontaneity there. There's no like real twist that's going to make you like, oh man, just fall back in your chair. Like, I did not see that coming.
Yeah. There's just not enough incest on She-Hulk right now. So,
No, that would be weird if she and Bruce got together.
No, it's just, I mean, overall, like, and I will be perfectly honest. For me, I did not like this episode as much as I did last week's.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should be shocked. I don't think anybody is. But I still, and especially as we talk about it and break down some of the bigger moments that stuck out for us and why, it's so well written. And we always say, like, Lord of the Rings is a beautiful shot TV show, and I'm not saying that it's not. However, when Daemon comes into the Red Keep with being this Prince of the Narrow Sea, and there's the shot of him walking towards the throne, and in the distance is blonde hair, almost a shadow, just also walking same direction. They're almost parallel to each other. I was like, that is a brilliant shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a painting that's moving. And it just spoke, in hindsight, it says so much about this episode and those two characters.
Yeah.
So I think that overall, like, you can be a beautifully shot show, but if you don't got that writing and the acting to back it up, then it's just going to be a beautiful show. It's not going to be something like, and then this happened, and then that happened, and like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad. It's Leslie. I forget her last name. She always does the reactions to the Olympics, but man, I'm pulling a Will. It means we got to go. But anything else, Will, before we check out for the night?
No, I think we really, really, like I said, I like you. The more we talk about this episode, definitely goes back to what I said at the beginning. The show delivers it, and 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s each week.
I'm gonna be so sad when it's over.
Yep.
On that note, Will, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Will M Polk, WILLMPOLK.
Leslie Jones. Jones is doing House of Dragon reactions.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. Oh, I gotta go check this out.
I did not know. And then I think it was just the other night, I saw she was watching this episode.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. That. Oh, we should. Yeah, Black Twitter and Leslie Jones. Those are the things watch. Those are the watch-alongs that you need to follow.
Yes, definitely agree. Yeah. And when you're not following her, please follow me on Twitter at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at CNN Nerd. Friend us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and visit our website, www.cnnerdpodcast.com. But most importantly, rate, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Good night, Geek Out. You're welcome.